Councilman Littman hails originally from Duluth, Minnesota, and moved to Los Angeles following graduation from the University of Minnesota. He majored in history and political science. Councilman Littman entered the Army in 1965 and served in Vietnam from 1966 to 1967, where he was decorated with a Bronze Star for Valor and an Air Medal for flying in numerous combat flights with the 1st Cavalry. Thank you. Following his military service, Councilman Littman taught public school in Los Angeles for several years before teaching in Simi Valley, California for 15 years. In addition to teaching public school, Councilman Littman was an adjunct professor at Pepperdine University, teaching in the Graduate School of Education and Psychology. While teaching at the Pepperdine, Councilman Littman completed his master's in administration and his doctoral work in institutional management. In 1984, Councilman Littman left education and founded an automobile service company until retiring and moving to Maui, Hawaii in 1994. After a brief retirement, Councilman Littman opened a small practice in child and family psychotherapy and provided autism consulting for the state of Hawaii until again retiring in 2004 to Mesquite. I think that says a lot, from Maui, Hawaii to Mesquite. Since relocating to Mesquite, Councilman Littman has become very active in Veterans Affairs, directing the annual Veterans Day Parade, Memorial Day services, bringing the Vietnam Wall that heals to Mesquite in 2010, helped found the Mesquite Veterans Center, serves on both the boards of the center and the local chapter of Vietnam Veterans, has assisted the Exchange Club on veteran issues, president of Dollars for Scholars, assists at the Mosquitoes, and teaches psychology at the College of Southern Nevada. And last but not least, Councilman Littman has also taught spinning and total body fitness classes at the city's recreation center for the past 5 years. Councilman Littman has been married to Phyllis for 46 years. Councilman Littman represents the city of Mesquite on the Southern Nevada Health District Board of Directors and the Civilian Military Council at Nellis Air Force Base. Please help me welcome Councilman Littman.
Thank you. It's now 48 and a half years on the marriage. Time flies. When I got a call to give the State of the City address that was presented at City Council last month, I was very surprised. First of all, that I would be asked, and secondly, that people would want to hear it again. Not because it wasn't a good speech, but I thought most people might want to hear something new. I don't mind repeating it, but I thought if no one minded, I'd take a different direction today by adding my own ideas on where we've been and where we are in Mesquite and where I think we should be going. By the way, I love Mesquite. I found this place virtually accidentally. In 1965, I stayed overnight in Mesquite. And if there was anybody in this room that was here in 1965, there wasn't a great deal here. There were some dairy farms, and I thought that looked really neat. Little stores located in around where the current City Hall is located today. A couple of motels and a restaurant. And at the end of the street, way down a ways, was a truck stop of sorts. But I'd already gotten gasoline, and I just kind of waved and drove down Highway 91, forgetting all about Mesquite because I was heading to the big city. I was heading to Los Angeles, where I was going to spend the next 30 years of my life. I wanted the big town. I came from Duluth, Minnesota, which was an average-sized city, but if you know anything about Duluth, Minnesota, it's one of the coldest spots in the United States, if not the coldest, and it wasn't for me. So before I talk about the present and the future, I thought maybe I'd review a little bit about Mesquite, and if you were born here, just bear with me, okay? Mesquite had its origins in small-scale farming, but by the 1970s, the economy here was driven basically by the Peppermill Casino and the advent of the interstate, which came through here in 1975. In 1990, our population was 1,871. By 2000, it was up to 9,000 1,389. And by 2010, according to our census, a little over 15,000. Today we have somewhere between 17 and 18,000 permanent residents here. So you can see our population grew, and before business could catch up, the recession hit. And you see the results today. In other words, nobody thought Mesquite was going to be a boom town. It stayed so small for so long. Suddenly, the sky was the limit, and the next thing you know, 2007, 2008 rolls around, and everything closes up. Unlike many traditional small towns, we never had the traditional Main Street concept of a downtown, especially the one I grew up in. But we had scattered homes and small farms built along the old Highway 91. Again, a few motels, a hospital, stores were near the current city hall, and again, the interstate arrived in '75 and started to change all of that. Back to the farming, which took much of the land along the highway, we had cotton, grapes, alfalfa, wheat, and I never knew it, but sugar cane growing in Mesquite. They were the main crops, and cotton and raisins were the two large cash crops here. And along with the crops, we had dairy farms, and at our peak, we had 5. Surpluses obviously would have to go elsewhere, and they were trucked down to Las Vegas. And that was the economy of Mesquite for a number of years. In recent years, we know the casino industry grew, and I think mostly because we were the first stop coming in from Utah, and along with it came golf. With the advent of the interstate, short-term visitors on their way to the West Coast or to the national parks in both directions started coming through Mesquite. Our largest employers, by the way, are our casinos, our schools, and the city of Mesquite. To give you a quick comparison, my hometown was settled about 30 years before Mesquite, okay, by fur traders. But by the 1950s, had a population of 110,000 people. We were supported by mining, shipping, lumber mills, textile mills, coal, iron, steel, and cement plants. They're all gone, with the exception of some shipping remaining. Population now is about 85,000, and they're holding steady, and they've been so for about 25 years. The city does okay, because they took a new direction. They looked at tourism. In spite of the climate, as hot as it gets here in the summer, winter in Duluth is worse, and I can assure you of that. And much longer, by the way, than our summers. Okay. Mayor Weir, in his State of the City address, and I will refer to it, tells us that over the past 2.5 years, we focused our energy and resources on putting the right tools into place so that we may not only survive the economic downturn, but are able to thrive in the highly competitive market of the future. Contrary to a local news article who said we are already thriving, we are, in my opinion, not thriving yet. But we've been laying the groundwork for this for a long time now. And we're trying in Mesquite to look to the future and not make some of the mistakes that have been made in the past. We're finally business friendly. We're ready if they come, but need to think outside the box if they don't come. If you know me, I like to do my research. And before making important decisions, I like to look elsewhere for ideas that might apply to our situation, not reinvent the wheel. What worked for others might just work here in Mesquite. So I started finding out what's going on in the rest of the country and what's been going on in the rest of the country while we've been here in Mesquite. And I looked at a study down in North Carolina called Small Towns, Big Ideas. I said, you know what, this is us. I'm going to give you some background and a quick overview, a little bit about the towns and strategies and the lessons learned. Okay. I'm not going to give you the whole report, obviously, you'd be here till 5 o'clock. They spent a lot of time on this. There are ways of not only surviving as a small town, as I found out, but thriving as we move forward. We need to think outside the box and not be afraid of any failures.